Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for stopping by the channel. In today's video, we're going to get into a couple of different topics, some vintage baseball cards, some modern baseball cards, an approach that I use to generate hobby revenue, and maybe even some other things depending on how we do with time. So we're going to start off in the vintage realm, and you see a couple of Nolan Ryan cards in front of you. He is someone that I have enjoyed collecting since I was a little kid. He's been my favorite player since I was, a 7-year-old that first got into the hobby, and I still enjoy collecting him to this day. And a while back, I showed off my complete Nolan Ryan playing era run, that collection, which had some wrinkles in it, some odd cards thrown in. It's one of my favorite parts of my collection. But after doing that video, I decided to kind of analyze that and look over that portion of my collection a little bit closer to see if there was any room for improvement. I'm always looking to continually improve and evolve as a collector, and cards that I picked up, 15 years ago, I may view differently now with the experience that I've gained over the years. And I hadn't really looked at my Nolan Ryan PC in a long time. It was just kind of boxed up off to the side. But taking it out for that episode caused me to go through it. And one of the cards that I focused on was this one here, the 73 Topps Nolan Ryan, a fantastic card. This has been my copy for probably 15 years, and it's the copy that I showed in my run. But I identified this as an area to both improve my collection and generate some hobby funds simultaneously with the move that I refer to as the downgrade. So this card, you can see, is graded a PSA 8. Very decent or really high grade for an early 70s card. Probably my earliest, highest grade Nolan Ryan, if that makes sense. But the more I look this over, it's a nice looking card, but it has some flaws that kind of bug me a little bit. The two that stand out in particular, I don't know if you can make it out on camera, but it's diamond cut. It's not the worst diamond cut that I've ever seen, but once you notice it, it's very noticeable. So for example, if you look on this border of the card, this lower piece, this lower white border here is much thinner than the white border is up here. So the border goes from thicker to thinner because the printing is sort of offset on the card. And then conversely on this border, it's a little bit thinner here and then it gets thicker as you move towards the bottom of the card. So while the overall centering looks okay, which is what drew me to this card, if I really analyze it closely, this card is somewhat diamond cut or miscut. And then on top of that, in the pitcher logo here, which is really one of the main things that your eye is drawn to in the 73 release, you can see we have a couple of significant fish eyes there, or printing dots, yellow printing dots in the middle of that bright red circle. So those two things combined, kind of make this card expendable in my mind. And the fact that it's graded an 8 gives this card a lot of value to a collector who may not care about those couple of issues that I just mentioned. So came up with a plan. I got on eBay, did maybe a few days, I already have a standout, few days worth of research, watching different ones, analyzing, running a couple copies by friends. And in the end, I replaced that 73 Topps Nolan Ryan with this copy here. So this is the same card. This is just a PSA 5, a lowly PSA 5, but I love it. It's almost perfectly centered, maybe perfectly centered, which is very difficult with 73 Topps. The corners are not perfect, but they're white all the way through. There's nothing glaring there that's folded over. The card is not diamond cut at all. And while it does have one small fisheye in the black border right here by my finger, that's it. And this portion of the card here, which had those very noticeable fisheyes on my PSA 8 copy, is clean. So this PSA 5, I determined I actually like the way this card looks, and it's a better fit for my collection, despite being 3 grade notches lower than my existing PSA 8. So I bought this card. This was under $100, which I think is really, really a steal given his level of popularity in the hobby, and the fact that, in my opinion, 1973 was maybe his best individual season as a player, which is why I went out and picked up this autographed PSA DNA copy of the card. So this is my new 73 Topps Nolan Ryan, this PSA 5. And that means that I was able to list my PSA 8 for sale on both eBay and MySlabs. And I'm very happy to report that just before shooting this video earlier today, made the sale on the PSA 8 for many times what I bought the PSA 5 for. I think I sold it for over $600, if you can believe that, in a PSA 8. So this PSA 8 miscut Ryan or offcut Ryan with the fisheye is heading off to the post office to be sent to its new owner. And I have one that I'm much happier with via this downgrade maneuver. And even after fees and taxes and things like that, I will have hundreds of dollars left in my kind of hobby war chest, so to speak, to either, go out and acquire some new cards or do what I want with. So to me, that was a great move. Always a fan of the downgrade because it's ironic. While I love graded cards, I don't really care that much about the grade. I just like the way they store, the way they're presented, the fact that they provide authenticity, but I don't get hung up on the grade. So I love that 5 and I will not miss that 8. And I'll have a lot of fun picking out some cards with the money that I acquired in that downgrade. So that's a move I've done before, but the latest example of it here on the channel. And I'll, if I remember, I'll do a follow-up and post, I guess, some of the cards that I pick up with that small little windfall from that maneuver. What will I be targeting? Maybe some newer shiny stuff. For example, I showed this in a recent video just earlier this week, this beautiful Kurt Schilling Bowman's Best refractor. And when I went to file it away, I found that it was actually my second copy that I'd picked up of the card. So I have 2 of the 400 copies of this 99 Bowman's Best refractor, but it got me to thinking that I have a few other Bowman's Best refractors from 99 that I've never shown on the channel. So I figured I would take them all out quick here. Some I may have shown. I'm going to go through these quickly. Others I know I haven't. But from the Best Performers subset, I have the Noma, guy that was a hero of mine as a youth sports kid and baseball player growing up in Connecticut and a Red Sox fan. And look at that etching. I say that every time I show these cards, but man, 1999 Bowman's Best refractors might be my favorite etching in the history of baseball cards. It's a beautiful Nomar there. I don't know why I put him in a one touch, but we'll leave him in there. Also from the Best Performers subset, the controversial Sammy Sosa, just because in the late 90s, McGuire and Sosa were like the kings of the game and the hobby. So even though, hindsight being 2020, these guys are not as popular now, I enjoy picking up their cards, especially since they're available dirt cheap. Sammy was a fun guy to watch. So there's the Sosa. And then lastly, from the Best Performers subset, have the Vlad Sr., also just displaying some primo etching. I mean, these cards, these 2 cards right here are just an example of why I can't confine myself to just vintage or just modern, and I just can't help myself but to collect both. I love vintage baseball cards like this Nolan Ryan, and I always will, but I am a sucker for a nice, shiny, modern card as well, and I'm happy to have that Vlad Sr. So that does it for the Best Performers subset. And then as far as base cards, I have some, again, I've maybe shown some of these, others I haven't. But I've got the Noma base as well to go with the Best Performers. Now this one illustrates a common problem with these, and I would like to upgrade this card at some point. There is a print line that you can pretty clearly see going through this one at about the 25-30% mark up the card. To me, that's bothersome, and I will look for one of the other 399 copies of these that are out there. You do have to be careful because sometimes with this design, there'll be like a dugout line or a line in the stands that looks like a print line, but if you can really tell, upon careful inspection, just the paper just shifts right there at that line. So it drives me kind of nuts. Someday I'll add this one to my trade bait pile and acquire a non-print line copy, but that's the Nomar I have for now. Next up, Todd Helton. This one was scored on the cheap as well. I mean, pretty much all these that I'm going to show were snagged at $10 or less. So great Todd Helton there. Here's the base Vlad. And you can kind of see what I mean about the print line here. So in this case, you do have a line going across the card that you can kind of make out, but that's from the dugout line in the background or the playing field line in the background there. So this card is actually print line free. Beautiful copy. Great player that you don't really hear too much about in the hobby nowadays, or at least I don't in the circles that I'm in. So happy to have that Vlad. And then another copy a card that I mistakenly picked up 2 copies of, although I certainly don't mind because it's one of my favorites in the set, the Pedro Martinez. Really, really happy to have a pair of these. We'll probably send one or both of these off for grading at some point. Do love the way these look in PSA slabs. More on that in a minute. But a couple of great Pedros. And of course, 99, maybe the best year of his career, which makes this card even cooler. He was dominating the game at that point. And then a couple more here to round it out. Got a Tom Glavine. This is the only other one that has a print line, but it was like $6, so I snagged it. Maybe I'll upgrade it someday, but you can see that print line, same as the Garcia Parra, but still a cool card there. Hall of Famer and hockey great, Tom Glavine. And then we had the Best Performers subset Sosa, and we also have the base card of Slammin' Sammy. Awesome there. And then Jeff Bagwell, slugger that the Red Sox famously let go in a terrible trade. Went on to have a Hall of Fame career with Houston, player that I liked in the 90s, and again was very cheap, so snagged this one as well. And I haven't shown the backs in this video, but these are all numbered to 400, serial numbered. And then I have one graded card from this release, and I picked this up recently, the PSA slab, and it's a guy that just gets no hobby love. For someone who's a member of the 600 Home Run Club, which is a very elite club, nobody seems to collect this guy. I know my buddy Joe at Four Soft Corners picked up a great autograph of his recently, and that is Jim Thome. So I'm embarrassingly short on Jim Thome cards in my collection. I would love to have some more, actually, just given that he kind of quietly put together an amazing career as a power hitter. But yeah, found this in a PSA 9. It was around $30 or less, and just couldn't buy it fast enough at that price. So this is the only graded copy that I have presently, as far as 99 Bowman's Best refractors go. But who knows, some of the ones that we looked at previously may be sent off for grading at some point in the future to join Jim in that portion of my collection. And then I'm going to close it out today. I have two more cards to get to. Let's straighten the angle a little bit. Also on the Shine front, and this is a set that I've talked about numerous times recently, and that is the Topps Gilded collection, which is a high-end set, started in 2022 and continued again this year. I have two graded, most of these have been ungraded that I've picked up just because it's a pretty new release, or was at the time when I was hunting these, but I do have two graded copies. First one, guy that I love collecting, at least his vintage cards, and we'll pick up some occasional modern as well, the Hank Aaron Mini Diamond Gold Etch in a PSA Fine 9, which is my favorite grade from my favorite grader. Love this card. The fact that it was a 9 kept it affordable. Paid for this about what raw copies go for, maybe even a little bit less. I really stole this card, and I just think it's a fantastic addition to my Hank Aaron collection. You know, in addition to the vintage Aaron cards I have, love that I have like his 2011 Topps Cognac cards, and now I have his Gilded collection, first ever Gilded collection card as well. Hank is on the 2023 checklist, so I would like to get the mini diamond out of 50 of that card maybe, and maybe that's something that I hunt with some of my Nolan Ryan money, we'll see. But for now, I just have this one, but absolutely gorgeous. I love that particular Braves uniform as well, so great card there. And then the final card in today's video is a young up-and-comer that I am very excited about. I've shown one of his cards before on the channel. Was a big believer in this guy heading into the season, and he showed me a lot more in 2023 that made me an even bigger fan of his, Bobby Witt Jr. And so, of course, 2022 was his rookie card season, so he has a card in Gilded that's actually a rookie. So this is it. I got just the base version of this, which I think is known as like Chrome Etch or something like that. But effectively, this is a base card. And for the veterans, these were numbered to 99. For the rookies, like Witt Jr., they're actually numbered to 199. But still, that's a relatively scarce rookie card of a player that I think is a pretty big deal and that we're going to be talking about in the game and in the hobby for years to come. This guy does it all. He's got speed, he's got power, he's a good contact hitter, solid in the field. He really just contributes in every way. And if you were starting a team, building a roster from scratch, he would be high on the list of players that I would consider as sort of the foundation of that team as far as young stars go. So really excited to see how Witt Jr.'s career unfolds after his 30 home run campaign that he just finished. And really, really grateful to have this rookie card. I also picked up the short print variation of his rookie from Topps Series 2, but I actually like this Gilded card the best. This would be my favorite of the very small number of Bobby Witt cards that I own, and certainly the one that I will keep in the collection to kind of represent him going forward. I don't feel a need to super collect him, at least not right now, but I'm very grateful to have this one in the collection. And as you can see on the back here, serial numbering to 199, as I mentioned. So copy 185. Fantastic Bobby Witt Jr. rookie card. And will be fun to tuck this one away and just kind of enjoy it as his career unfolds over the next 1 to 2 decades here at the major league level. So that is a wrap on today's video. A little bit all over the place, but I wanted to touch on the downgrade of that Nolan Ryan and at least document that. Get my PSA 8 on video one more time before I pack that up, head out to the post office, and also figured it was a good opportunity to touch on some modern shiny sets that I enjoy. So a little bit longer than normal today. Appreciate you sticking with me. You know I'll be back soon with some more content. And until then, I hope you all keep enjoying the hobby. Take care.